Hey there! Welcome to this week's Meet Me in the Dirt moment. My name is Barbara Lawson, and I am here to hopefully inspire you to be able to take care of your mind, body, and soul in the garden. There's many ways to do that, but the one way that I know for sure, because I've done it myself, is to be able to work through your stuff in the dirt. And so this week's theme is From Seed to Promise. And I think it's appropriate to do that theme today because it is Easter. And so there's a lot of similarities in what we're going to talk about. And because if you remember in the first episode, we planted a mini garden, a mini salad container, which you'll see is right here, and I'll reference a little bit later. But the reason why I'm doing this one is because next week, it's about that time for us to enjoy the fruits of our labor. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened over the last month or so. And so another thing that inspired this is a class I taught some teenagers a couple of months ago. And the very first question I asked was, I had a packet of seeds. I took a seed out. I had it in my hand. And just as I asked you, I said, what's the difference? Is there a difference between this seed and this plant? And all but one of them said yes. And then one little girl said, well, technically, and it was her. I zeroed in and I was thinking that girl has vision, because she was absolutely right. This seed and this plant absolutely are the same. They're just different levels. And when you think about it, the seed inside of this packet, it's in the right level. It's if we didn't know what this seed was, we wouldn't know what we would be putting inside the garden, right? We wouldn't know how to find it. And so the seed on this level is necessary. It's supposed to be in this form in order for us to know what we're getting, what we're buying, and to be able to then put it into our gardens. And so nothing wrong with a seed inside of a seed packet. It's just that's the level that it's on. To go from this seed to this full-grown plant, this seed needs to be planted. It absolutely needs to be submerged into the soil, good soil, and nurtured so that it can grow properly. The analogy that I think about, especially like when I was working through my stuff in the garden, there were some pretty dark times, sadness, just really quiet. I was quiet, and you know I'm not a quiet person, but I couldn't get my mojo back, and it was because I was planted, and it was time for me to go through the process in order to move into a fuller version of myself. That seed needs to be able to be planted underneath the soil. And it's dark under there. We don't know what's going on underneath the soil, but we have the best intentions that when we plant seeds, whatever is supposed to happen underneath that particular soil is the process that it needs to go through in order to become this plant. And what happens underneath that soil is that the seed coat that protects that seed, the seed has a small little plant inside of it. When it's submerged, that intention lets the seed know that it's time for it to relinquish its old self, its old thoughts, its old ways. It knows at the moment that it's planted that it's time to grow, and it does just that. The seed coat breaks, and the small plant comes out, and as it's summoned by the sun, it comes and breaks through the soil so that it can now be on another level. It broke through the seed coat by being planted, so it left its former self, went down through the process, broke through the soil, and then it relied upon the sun and the water for sustenance on that level. And that's us too. We were planted. If you've gone through anything like that, and I'm sure you didn't have to lose your mother, you've lost something. And at this time right now, during this pandemic, we've all lost a little bit of something. Even if it's just the normalcy in your life, we've all lost something. Working in the garden is a great way for you to even deal with those changes. Planting seeds, giving it time to go through the process, whatever the process is that occurs in the dark, where things were quiet and silent. Let it go through the process so that in due time, whatever time it takes. And it just so happened that these were greens, which are quick wins, and they come within a month and a week or so. You'll see the promise. And so that is exactly what I did in the garden too. When I came back here to work out some of the pains that I had in my heart, some of the things that I was dealing with. But again, because we're in a pandemic, because we are dealing with some very tumultuous times right now, it's perfect timing for you to be able to plant something that'll give you a quick win, some quick confidence to be able to know that, you know what, I'm going to be okay. And so remember, in order for you to go from the seed to the promise, you must allow yourself to be planted, which will require you to give up life as you know it on that level. That means that your intention is to grow, is to become the fuller version of yourself. And then and only then can you receive the promise. Okay? And so I can smile about that because I received my promise, not only in my heart and in my personal life, but I've also received the promise in this garden from those seeds that I planted. And I'm gonna link you back to the first video so you can see we did a row of transplant plants of lettuces, and we also did some seeds. And that very same garden is right here. This is what I planted with you live on video. And next week, I will be treating myself to some food that I grew in my own garden, with my own hands, with my own love, and with my own good intentions. And so we'll have a great time celebrating the fruits of our labor next time. And until then, hopefully you'll be thinking about moments where you notice that your seed is being planted, and hopefully now when you think about seeds, you'll see them in a different light, and you will also be able to find comfort in the fact that once you're planted, that means the promise is on its way. Okay? God bless you. I love you. Hopefully you were encouraged by this. Just know your promise is on the way as long as you allow the planting process to do its work. See you soon.